Most outpatient clinic days are quiet. Prescriptions, follow-ups, lab results, routine. But that morning, routine shattered the moment two women walked into my office. What started as a simple lab review became an explosion of accusations, secrets, and betrayals, louder than any heart monitor I've ever heard. And in the middle of it all, a truth no lab test could ever measure. In outpatient clinic, the hours usually crawl by. Prescriptions, follow-ups, lab results, nothing out of the ordinary. But that morning, what should have been a routine appointment turned into one of the most awkward, explosive, and unbelievable scenes I've ever witnessed in a doctor's office. A story where hospital walls couldn't contain the truth, and where one lab result revealed far more than anyone was ready to face. It was just another ordinary day. My brain was on autopilot. Review results, adjust medications, explain treatments. Nothing unusual, until they walked in. A woman, accompanied by another woman. They greeted me politely, smiling, and sat down in front of me. Nothing in their manner suggested anything beyond friendship. No hand-holding, no signs of affection. Just two women, like patient and friend. "Doctor, I'm here for my lab results." I asked if she remembered what tests had been done. She hesitated, thought for a second, and then said, "Honestly, no. They just took some blood and told me the results would be sent here." I opened the system, expecting the usual. Blood count, glucose, cholesterol. But no. One result stood out immediately. VDRL positive. For those who don't know, that's the test we use to detect syphilis, a sexually transmitted infection. I cleared my throat, trying to sound as professional and calm as possible. "Ma'am, this test shows you're positive for syphilis. It's an infection we need to treat." I didn't even finish the sentence before the woman sitting next to her jumped up, eyes wide, face pale. "What? A sexually transmitted disease? That's impossible. She's only been with me. I don't have anything." The air in the room instantly froze. That's when it hit me. They weren't just friends. They were partners. And I had just dropped a bomb in the middle of the room without even realizing it. The office suddenly felt suffocating. My mouth was dry. I thought, great, I messed this up. Do I try to soften it? Change the subject? Why don't doctors have an emergency escape button for moments like this? But there was no time, because right then my eyes landed on another test result, and it nearly made my heart stop. Pregnancy test, positive. I swallowed hard. My pulse quickened, pounding so hard it felt like it echoed in my ears. Do I say it now? Should I wait? Call her later? What if her partner jumps at me right here in the office? But before I could even decide, the patient herself cut through the tension with a calmness that almost unnerved me. "Doctor, it's fine. Just continue. I'll talk to her later." That was the moment I knew I was trapped. There was no turning back. "All right. There's also a pregnancy test here. Are you two trying to have a baby?" The answer came immediately, from both at the exact same time, sharp and firm like two doors slamming shut. "No!" The room grew heavier, thicker. Both sets of eyes locked on me, waiting for what I would say next. I forced the words out, my throat dry. "The result came back positive. It's not definitive. We'll need to run more tests," but I didn't even finish. The word positive was enough. Her partner exploded. "What? With who?" The patient shook her head, denying everything, tears brimming in her eyes. Her partner pressed harder, louder, angrier. And I was just there, invisible now, watching it unfold like a storm tearing through the room. The shouting got so loud that security knocked on the door. I asked them to wait, hoping I could calm things down. I tried to bring the conversation back to medicine. "Look, syphilis is treatable, and the pregnancy result will confirm with other exams. What matters now is your health." But her partner turned on me, eyes burning, voice dripping with venom. "Oh, of course. You're taking her side, aren't you?" I raised my hands, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm just trying to help. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard. The walls shook. I let out a sigh of relief, thinking, okay, they'll leave. This will be over. How wrong I was. In the hallway, everything blew up. Her partner screamed, loud enough for the entire waiting room to hear. My partner cheated on me and now she's pregnant. The effect was instant. The quiet murmurs of people waiting turned into absolute silence. It was like the entire clinic froze. A man lowered his newspaper. A mother squeezed her child's hand. Even the receptionist stopped typing and looked up. The patient came out after her, face pale, lips trembling, but her voice was sharp, full of pain and rage. You want to humiliate me? In front of everyone? But her partner didn't stop. No, she only got louder. Every accusation was another log thrown onto the fire. I peeked out the door, torn between stepping in or letting it burn itself out. But I knew. There was no stopping this. And then, the unthinkable happened. The patient straightened. Her trembling turned to clenched fists, and with her voice raised, almost shouting, she fired the first bullet no one expected. Infidelity? You? You dare talk about cheating? You slept with your best friend and with your so-called best guy friend, too. The hallway erupted in gasps. Someone whispered, "Oh my God!" Another patient literally covered her mouth. The air was electric. You could feel it pressing down, heavy, cutting like a scalpel. I thought, this has gone too far. But she wasn't done. Her eyes glistened with tears, her voice cracking but louder than ever. And then she dropped the final bomb. Not in whispers. Not behind closed doors. But in front of everyone. With the power of someone who has nothing left to lose. And you know what? You should be happy, because you're not just going to be a mother, you're also going to be an aunt. The baby is your brother's. The world stopped. The hallway went dead silent, like time itself froze. Those words hung in the air, heavy, as a gunshot that no one could dodge. Her partner stood there, paralyzed, her face drained of color. In seconds, she went from blazing red fury to chalk-white shock. The waiting room buzzed with disbelief. An elderly man stood up to get a better look. A young woman slipped her phone out, trying to record without being seen. Security rushed over. 2 guards now stepping in with hands raised, trying to keep order. "Ladies, please, this is a hospital. You can't..." But no one listened. Her partner screamed, "With my brother! With my brother!" And the patient, broken but defiant, shouted back, "Yes! And you know it. While you were out cheating on me, I got tired of waiting for your loyalty." One of the guards looked at me, silently asking what to do. I just shook my head. What could I do? I was a doctor, not a referee in a family war. That hallway, usually filled with bored, restless patients waiting for prescriptions, had turned into a theater of pure chaos. A scandal so wild even the most dramatic soap opera would have thought it was too much. And every single witness would carry that story out of the hospital, repeating it to friends, family, neighbors, a storm of gossip unleashed. And there I was, standing in the middle of it, asking myself, when did this stop being medicine and turn into a battlefield? That day, I learned something I'll never forget. In medicine, you can prepare for diseases, for emergencies, for treatments. But you can't control the private storms people carry into your office. Lab results give us numbers, values, diagnoses, but they never reveal the weight of the human stories attached to them. What began as a routine consult ended in a hurricane of betrayal, secrets, and truths too big to be contained by hospital walls. The couple left in chaos, shouting, crying, throwing accusations, while the waiting room sat in stunned silence, still processing what they had just witnessed. And I stayed behind at my desk, papers in hand, asking myself, how prepared are we, as doctors, not just to hold sick bodies, but broken hearts as well? I'm a doctor, And these stories I share are based on real experiences, mine and those of colleagues, nurses, and paramedics who, like me, have seen that medicine doesn't always treat just the body. Sometimes we face hidden truths, family secrets, confessions that change lives forever. If you've ever lived through something like this, share it in the comments. Your story might be the next one we tell here. And remember, in a hospital, we can diagnose many things, but there's no test in the world that can measure the weight of the truth.